Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Oh, it's the pain I can assure you will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the start of the 28X Later arc. Is that the name of the series? That's what we're going to go with. We are covering the original Danny Boyle 28 Days Later, on our way to reviewing the whole lot. And even, I think, having room for a sneaky little bonus one for you that will add a little context, add a little fun to this. We are joined by regular co-hosts Murgoot and TCG. Hello, chaps.
Good evening.
Hello, all.
Very good to have you. TCG, been a busy boy recently.
I have. Since we last streamed, I am back properly now. I have a new video out. It came out on Tuesday. Go and check it out. We did a little teaser last week, but you can go and see the whole thing in full over on my channel. If you like mysteries with a resolution and also some weird 911 calls, you will love this video.
It was a quality return. Yes, very much recommended. Go to that. Links in the description. Links to everyone's channels, actually. And we are also joined by, I hope he's still happy with it. We had some interesting backstage chats. Generously giving him his time, we have channel favourite Harry of the Lotus Eaters joining us for this.
Hello! As I was explaining before we started, my IQ dropped to 65 before coming to Swindon, and I forgot my microphone. As such, you'll have to get me, you'll have to tolerate me broadcasting from this deep, dark cave.
You caught Boomer Audio from the king of the Boomer Audio himself.
Sorry, did somebody say Boomer? Yeah, that's right. I did bring my guitar with me, but
there goes the copyright strike.
Yeah.
You can't
gotta
get copyright struck for just playing 3 notes of the pentatonic scale. Come on.
Oh, you wait. There's an Indian filing it right now.
On behalf of Richie Blackman.
I cannot believe you bastard guy. You take my music.
Yeah, probably.
Copyright.
That's how they got my, what was it called? Speak No Evil video, the bastards.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Well,
to be fair, actually, on that sort of thing, I eventually intend to do a video explaining how all of the lawsuits and accusations of musical theft against Led Zeppelin are complete bunk, because most of it is based around people claiming essentially that basic chord progressions belong to them when Led Zeppelin when Led Zeppelin used them. Either that or, oh my God, they share one similar verse to each other. So Led Zeppelin stole the entire song as if they're completely interchangeable and as if Led Zeppelin just wrote basic barroom blues rather than actual classic music. I eventually intend to do that little side tangent.
I want to see that. You got to make that.
Dude, like 99% of like musical copyright claims are complete BS of just people going like, oh, this incredibly famous, well-written and successful song shares a chord sequence with my song that is terrible that nobody cares about. I deserve a cut.
Oh, they deserve a cut, all right.
Yeah.
But Well, anyway, folks, as I said, everyone's links are in the description. Do go follow them. Everyone on here is a wonderful person except for me. But my stuff is also in here. And if you want, you can support the channel. And I feel very un-English doing this. You can support the channel via super chats either here or tips on Subscribestar, and ideally memberships here or on Subscribestar. Why are memberships best? Because then I can give you stuff. I want to give you stuff back. It's a good deal. You get exclusive content. You get to vote on what we cover, and I cover a requested film for members. So there's some stuff I can do. So there you go. Super chats here, memberships, all good. With that said, we will be efficient. We will get into it because there is a lot to say about 28 Days Later that will make us ready, guys. 28 Days haters. Am I right? Huh?
Get out.
No.
Yeah.
Grok let me down. I was ready for that one.
Did you get that from Grok?
No. No. I don't trust Grok anymore. Grok done me dirty. Did I tell you this? Oh, that's even better than the soundboard.
I was going to say Harry's his own soundboard, isn't he? Yeah.
I am today, but I will not noodle. I will not fiddle. It's away from me. I must control myself.
All right. I'll just say I tweeted about this, but I'll just mention it here because it was an absolute mind-bending experience. Daniel Hall, 100% correct. I was looking to see if I had a read that was too schizo, even for me. So I asked Grok to look around for some scholarship on the fine film Triangle by Christopher Smith from 2009, one of my favourite horror films. And Grok gave me a load of details, a load of academic essays and some books. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'll go for this. Feminist reading, it's going to be high quality. So I look up this essay, and as you're probably guessing, bloody thing doesn't exist. And I checked, Grok.
Wait, it made up an essay?
It made up an essay completely. And then I looked closer in its replies, and there was a whole book that it made up, and it said something like, now this book may not actually exist, but something like this could be helpful. But why did you even say this?
That's like there was a thing on Sky News the other day actually about ChatGPT. There's this one of the presenters does a podcast, and at the end of each one he'll upload the transcript to ChatGPT, and then I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but basically he finished recording an episode, hadn't uploaded the transcript yet, and then asked to see the transcript. And ChatGPT basically manufactured the entire transcript of an episode that he hadn't yet published. And the guy was like, hold on a minute. So he challenged it, and like ChatGPT was lying to his face, basically saying, yeah, no, you definitely uploaded it. You uploaded it at this time, on this date. And yeah, you definitely did. And then it was only until he was like, stop lying to me, you bastard. He was ChatGPT was like, all right, you got me. Won't happen again.
What is this that you've got on screen here?
This
the
is part
essay was a hypothetical construct I included in my initial response. It gave you a Ben Shapiro hypothetical.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically.
Yeah. What's the other one? Just so we got it on record here, you can have the follow-up. This was in the original response, and I didn't catch it, but I've highlighted the best stuff. Publisher, 2023, hypothetical.
Hypothetically.
What's the point? What's the point of programming ChatGPT to do this?
I know. Why?
What purpose does this serve?
I felt like my brain had melted. Just why has this happened? It was the weirdest thing. Oh,
that's crazy. To be fair, actually, I've been using a different one. I was using Copilot to sort of guide that, just as a bit of an aid as I was doing the research for the video I've just done, and it did, admittedly, made minor mistakes. One of them being the trial date of Paul Michael Stefani, and actually there were actually two trials. Nobody mentions it. I never mentioned it in the video because I just did it for time, but there were actually 2 trials, but everyone sort of compressed it down to 1 anyway. And it also was inconsistent with some of the ages of the people, and it actually confused specific victims. So I was constantly like, can you tell me about this? And then having to go and like fact check it to make sure that it was accurate. And mostly it was quite helpful. But yeah, you still have to, it's annoying because you still have to do that element of it's trust but verify, isn't it? It's that,
It is.
that old adage.
Yeah.
You've got to, but it is mind melting. Yeah, it's just such a stupid decision for Grok to make. And speaking of stupid decisions, let's talk about this film, 28 Days Later. How's that for a smooth segue?
That was very smooth.
By the way,
Smooth like butter.
I reckon this guy could be a fantastic soy jack template. If anyone wants to work with that one.
You will get arrested for hate crimes if you try to draw this man's face in England.
Fair play. All right, well, getting into it, folks, I'm sure you have seen 28 Days Later. I'm sure you have fond memories of it, and we are not here to wreck those, but upon rewatching, my goodness, did we all notice quite a lot of things. We will be doing a sorely needed reassessment on the film, not out of hate, but out of honesty. This has a lot of kudos, a lot of well-deserved kudos for its aesthetics, for its sounds, and for its impact on the genre. Zombies were pretty tired out by the time this was done. You know, you didn't really have big efforts. You had sort of the dying embers of the Return of the Living Dead series. You know, they're pumping out stuff like Return of the Living Dead, Necropolis. You've got, I think you were pretty darn close to Land of the Dead. Someone can fact check me on that one. I think Land of the Dead might have managed to get in on the embers of this.
I think Land of the Dead was 06.
Yeah, there we go. Possibly managed to get done through the embers of this. It had like this sort of reigniting interest. You had the remake or the Tony Todd remake of Night of the Living Dead, but zombies, it wasn't happening. And then this comes in, and obviously, caveat, they're not zombies, but, you know, they quack like a duck and they walk like a very fast duck. So,
Yeah.
they're zombie
This
ducks,
this
let's
was
be honest.
original because it was fast zombies. And
Yeah.
This was the first mainstream.
Had anything? I'm trying to think. Return of the Living Dead did fast zombies.
They did.
They were a little
They-
fast. Sorry, TCG, go
I was
ahead.
going to say they were faster in that they had better body coordination.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think
But
if
they
anything
weren't-
had done like the proper full-on sprinting zombies before this.
No, see, I mean, it's a bit misleading, really, because this film is credited as the first zombie film where they're sprinters, but they're not zombies in the traditional sense. They are
it's a
infected
zombie
humans.
movie combined with Contagion or Hot Zone. So
But it's not literally not a zombie film. It's
it
a way
is
to
and
write
it
it.
isn't.
No.
It's not a zombie film. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
It literally isn't. That's the thing. It really isn't. Like they're not undead. You know,
I'll make an argument in TCG's favour in a slightly different way, but as a point of note, that there was actually a bit of a dispute over this movie between one Charlie Brooker, who we have another reason to mention, and
he did
Edgar Wright
Running
or
Zombies.
Simon Pegg. Yeah, he did Running Zombies, Fast Zombies in his excellent Dead set, worth bearing in mind. But he did note that there is an instance of running zombies in a Romero, but it's in one scene with child zombies in one shot. And
Oh yeah,
let's be honest, child actors aren't reliable. And maybe even in this film, there might be child zombie actors who mess up quite notably. And somehow it gets left in. I don't know. Will that happen? Will we come to that? Who knows?
Is that? No, I think I know what you're talking about. But is that?
is it the
something that was
Anakin
left-
moment?
It's
It's the Anakin moment.
Oh man.
Hayden Christian
We'll
watched
get to
that
we'll get to
stroking
the
his
murder
chin.
shop.
Interesting. Write that down.
Bless. I'm gonna say like TCG's like they're not zombies. I will lean hard on walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. There's a lot they have in common, but
They're close enough.
This-
If you're going to go with the technicalities, right? Technically, nobody who's still alive could continually vomit blood the way that these infected do without dying. I know that then they also have it at the end where it's like, oh, they can starve to death, which is why they're not in as much danger near the end of the film. So it's like, oh, they're kind of alive, but also logically, if you were bleeding out the mouth and eyes constantly, you would be dead in an hour at most. So they act enough like they're dead. And also, I don't know how many of you guys have watched 28 Years Later yet. But
nope.
No.
Oh, we need to remain spoiler free for TCG.
All right, okay. Just because they do fun stuff. They do really fun stuff with the zombies in that one. More fun than just they're running, but it turns a little bit into Left 4 Dead.
Well, I was going to say that the other caveat for why you could say they're not zombies, and this is a really nerdy point, but the film doesn't end in a siege, and that's like the defining moment of a zombie movie. Is there has to be a siege scenario?
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of Roanoke Gaming?
No.
Right. Okay. So
it sounds familiar, but I'm not. Don't know.
To be fair, I may have mentioned him before on the chat on these streams, but basically his content is centered around.
Oh yeah, I talked
horror
to
content.
Roanoke.
Oh, do you?
I talked to him a
Well,
long time ago when. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say next time you speak to him, tell him I'm a huge fan of his work. Basically, what he does is horror content, but then he talks about it from like a scientific side, like how it could work. And about 5 years ago, he actually covered the rage virus from 28 days from 28 days / weeks later. Highly recommend it. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Do you want to pop a link in the chat for everyone? Because I fancy that.
Can do. Yeah, it's really good. His stuff is really good. I'll tell you, when I'm working on the weekends, like he will be one of my go-to guys. Like he does sort of like this. It's only a 26-minute video this time that he did for 28 days, but normally he'll do stuff that's sort of between 40, 50 minutes, even an hour. I'll just whack it in the chat now, guys. Don't watch it now. We would like the audience retention time here, but maybe copy that link, chat, and go and check it out afterwards, and you'll see that I'm right.
Solid tip. All right, lovely stuff. Well, I don't know if we want to, let's just give the briefest recap, the pint of Guinness summary, the back of the VHS box of what goes on in this, and then I reckon we just get into. Well, we'll get into it. So, anyone fancy telling people? Oh, go for it, TCG.
So yeah, the film starts. So the film starts in a animal testing lab. Screens, and you've got like lots of violent events happening, riots and whatnot. And there is a monkey that is sitting there, or chimpanzee, sorry, sitting there watching it. All it's been infected with what's called a rage virus, and I believe that the footage it's watching is to act like some sort of stimuli. Anyway, Greta Thunberg
style.
Yeah. Greta Thunberg and her lackeys decide to break in and release the chimps. However, one scientist guy, I forget his name. He's
David Schneider.
David Schneider, thank you. He's like, no, don't do it. And they're like, shut up. And then, yeah, it all goes Pete Tong. Anyway, 28 days later, Rick Grimes awakes from a coma and finds that the world has turned upside down. Confused and dazed, he ventures out to look for his wife and child. Wait, no, sorry, wrong one. Jim wakes up in hospital to find that the world has gone Pete Tong, but for some reason he is absolute stark bollock naked. Thank you, British.
Yeah, which
and his bed is not covered in urine and feces as well.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Fun
look,
fact: the Nigerian orderlies just left him like this.
there's no
It's
catheter
been
and no
15
colostomy bag. So
Who just
I'm
left
guessing.
him?
15 to 20 years since I saw it, and there were three things that I remembered. This Jim walking through empty London, the eyeball dripping into the father's eyeball,
Frank, yeah, classic.
Yeah.
and my stepdaughter who complimented Cillian Murphy's dick.
Well, do you know, I remember a lot about this film, but this was one scene that I'd forgotten. And I said to my son yesterday, come on, let's sit down and watch this. Yeah. When did this happen? I was like, no, look away, look away.
For me, in English class, for some reason, in secondary school, right, they decided, my teacher decided to show us the opening 15 minutes of this film as a way to show how you can set tension and set a pace for a film. And he forgot that this bit happened at the beginning of the film. So he's in a room full of like 13 and 14-year-old girls and boys. And it's not like there's an introduction to this. It just flashes straight up on screen. Here's Cillian Murphy completely stark bollock naked. And he just like pounced for the mouse and threw the mouse over his penis. And he said, oh, I'm sorry for that, guys. That was always something memorable.
This is a bit of Danny Boyle classic. He loves a dong in his movie. Almost as a like, why not? It stands out. He got this in. They're all completely unnecessary.
There's plenty of dong in 28 Years Later, I'll tell you that.
I have heard about the dong, but
I'm sorry, TCG. Spoilers. You're right. Spoilers.
It's Danny Boyle. The only film of his that doesn't have a nice meaty schlong in it is Millions.
Hang on. In this film's not this one. 28 Years Later is supposed to be a 15, isn't it? Because I am taking my son down. I'm hoping this is not just a meme.
You poor boy.
No, it's true. I'm true. I'm being completely honest here. Like, for some reason, in 28 years, all of the infected have lost their clothes. Like, none of them are wearing anything. They're all naked now.
I mean, that is kind of believable.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just saying that Danny Boyle really leans into it. He really leans into it.
See, this is what happens when you buy cheap.
So anyway, sun's out, schlong's out. What's next, TCG?
Yeah, he goes around London.
Ooh-wee. Now, how did they clean it up this much?
I know. I've never seen London look so good.
How did... Oh, God. They cleaned the streets rather than use tipped-over props and CGI. Saved the money. Yes, I know. But London is congested as it is. Everybody fleeing London. You'd have parked cars everywhere. Bridges would be impassable.
You'd have corpses everywhere. Everything would be covered in blood. I get that this is all for setting the scene and building to mystery, but like when you actually think about it for more than 5 seconds, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys said that. Like, this is gorgeous. This is aesthetically a big hit. It's so eerie. It's so wonderful that, you know, Paul W.S. Anderson had to steal it for Resident Evil and Resident Evil Apocalypse. I know we all love those movies.
True Kino. They improved the formula.
This is great. Unfortunately, as we will be saying over the course of this review many, many times, well, Harry, you kind of nailed it. If you think about it for a second, like, it doesn't make sense. This is cool. It does not match the story that they told.
I'm sorry. London, even 20 years ago, was a hugely populated city. Why? How is there any chance at all that he would be able to walk through such a large part of the city without coming into contact with a single infected before he gets to that random church? There should be roving bands of infected going everywhere. He should be able to hear them because they're very noisy.
Even if they hide in the day, cool, we'll give you that. There should be bodies absolutely everywhere. Absolutely.
I mean, they're not
so
like the I Am
they
Legend.
evacuated it.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy whose
You're
story...
not vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who tells the story of how he saw his parents get infected at the train station talks about how the first thing that happens was that he's just having to climb over mountains of bodies.
Yeah,
Not
like
even
20
dead
pounds.
people, just like people who are trying to scramble. And like, why is not every door down this road that we've got on screen right now just covered in the corpses of people who got crushed trying to get into the nearest building?
Yeah, like how many people are in London during the day? Like at
There
peak
were
time,
about
when people's community?
there's London, and is it? I looked it up. It was
It's millions. It's in the millions.
20.1
Yeah,
million in
Yeah.
2005.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like you say, it's aesthetically, it looks lovely. It looks great, and I suppose it does tell a little bit of a story in that humanity has all but gone. But like you say, reality, it would look a lot different. I know I joked about Rick Grimes at the start, but when he goes to Atlanta in the first episode on horseback and he's going through the streets, and like you see as he's heading towards Atlanta, and you've got the jam of like abandoned cars that are trying to leave the town. And then he gets in and it's just like tipped over cars, rubbish, debris, dead animals, and people all over the shop. Like that's what you would expect to see in a situation, in a city like London.
My other thought is, why was Manchester burning but not London? London has a lot more industry over it, and it has nuke plants.
Because the City fans were free to roam. Ain't that right?
Makes sense to me, brother.
Yeah.
Doesn't Manchester United fans and
Civilized
rage zombies, they're the same thing, aren't they?
I'm talking about Man City fans. See that?
Yeah, well,
there we go.
You never know there's two Manchesters, Harry.
But we do get some bodies. Jim finds them.
Right, I will say
I like the priest scene. That was cute.
Yeah, this was a great one. I like this one, especially like when he sees these bodies. And again, this was still we had to turn it off early. But me and my boy, we saw this bit, and when he goes like "hello," and those two zombies like spring up and turn around, that stare they gave. I turned around to my boy. I was like, "Oh, mate, that still gets me. It's freaky as hell."
For me, this scene is still the scariest in the whole film.
Yes, yeah, I love it as well when he whacks the priest over the head with like the bag of Coke cans or whatever it is, and he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that."
That's I mean, like it's funny. It's funny. It also hits a character note. Like I love it. This is quality stuff. This was one of the best bits. They were inspired by some of the massacres in the Rwandan genocide. So that's sort of what, in fact, a lot of the violence you see in this is inspired by real incidents, and that is very not many of them in Europe, it must be said, but that is kind of key to the reading of this. We will get into what this film means later, and there's a popular video going around that has a particular reading that we can't really go with, but we will get into that later. This also has the infamous, and apologies for swearing, the end is pretty fucking nigh. Or extremely fucking nigh. And it's like, it's a fantastic joke. It works well. You do wonder who had the time to climb a ladder.
Yeah, that's pretty high up on the wall where it starts with the end is. That's pretty high up there.
It goes higher. Repent is the first word.
Yeah.
I think the priest wrote it.
It could be. It could be.
An angel came down. He didn't use the ladder. He got an angel to come down and hoist him up.
I'll add in something that I. Oh, sorry, Murgoot. Go ahead.
My comment is a church is full in London.
Well,
I mean, even 20 years ago, you're right. It's pretty shocking.
I think there's a thing about that. I wish this was my point, but unfortunately, this was my wife being smart. She said this is kind of where the normal zombie movie ended. This is a siege scenario that is the final bit of the regular zombie movie. And it doesn't turn out well. And this is just Jim coming in after all that's happened. I thought, oh yeah, it's a nice point.
We're going to get a prequel, aren't we? 27 and a half days later. He
Be more
just missed it.
Yeah.
Just missed it.
One of the things that I mentioned way backstage in DMs, you didn't have a slide for it, but if I'm waking up and everything is all wrong and I see a bay of ambulances just sitting there, I'd head down to the ambulances. One, pick up a first aid kit. Two, ambulance drivers usually set a spare set of keys under the seat or in the visor or in the glove box in case one of their patients rips them off their belt. And three, get to a freaking radio and see if you can reach anybody. Ambulances have great radios.
Also, beds inside.
That's all very logical. That's very logical, very smart. I counter with Jim, as portrayed through his actions in this film, is not very smart.
No, he's an idiot and naive.
He sees this massive pile of corpses, and his first idea is to go, hello? Hello? At them. Like seriously?
In Jim's defense, he is Irish.
Well, that is true. Are you all having a nap there, are you, boys?
You know,
hide and seek are we playing?
I found you! You'll have to hide better than that, I tell you.
You know, the Irish angle might not be just a bit of flavour, might have quite an impact on what's going on in the film. Just point that out. I mean, later when he does get to his parents' house, we will get to that. You notice specifically they've got a rosary and a Bible. These are Catholic people. He's obviously Catholic from the way he talks to the priest. He says, Father, you know. And when you add in like the fact that these people are Catholic, his parents are Catholic, and they've offered themselves, it's like, oh, that is not a light decision. But before they get to that, they encounter a couple of interesting people.
Well, sorry, just to go back on the idiocy point, I'd like to highlight as well. I think everybody in this film, except for Christopher Eccleston, is an absolute blithering moron for the most part. Especially because we kind of brushed over it. Especially the scientist at the beginning of the film, when they're like, "Why are you testing this weird infectious disease on monkeys?" And he says, "Oh, they're infected with rage. Why? Well, to cure, first you must understand." Understand what? Making monkeys angry.
Chat, behave. Behave.
I mean, to be fair,
I know
right?
that they needed a reason for there to be a zombie rage virus. Could they not have just said, "Oh, we're engineering a chemical weapon"?
Yeah, I would say because there's easier ways to piss off a monkey than to infect it with a virus. You know, like you just kick it in the testicles. Or
my thing about that's a little bit more realistic. What's the proving grounds in England that they tested all the chemical weapons that ended up
Porton Down.
The one in Russia where they were experimenting on diseases, it's Anthrax Island, and they accidentally released animals out and caused a herd of over 200,000 livestock to die. China. Can't talk about that.
Don't know what you're talking about, Maggie.
That's more common. I can excuse that.
Murgoot, this film came out in 2002.
Yeah,
if you just swap two of the numbers around. Oh my god, this was a precursor.
They love their numerology, don't they, folks?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry, you're not wrong. I mean, we will pretty much every character, if they aren't consistently 28 IQ, as TCG's called that, I'm leaving that on. That's brilliant. They will make.
Celine has her high points, and then Quiet, Jim, she yells out. It's one of those that it's like Jim hands everybody the idiot ball when Danny Boyle wants them to fuck up.
Well,
The idiot
when
ball
the
is a
plot
great
needs to happen.
description. Yeah,
This is
I
an
mean,
idiot plot.
by the time we get to the finale, it is absolutely dribbling all round. Like, there's just everyone acts like an idiot. No one makes great decisions. Oh boy! But everyone kind of gets their moment.
That I have comments.
So upon TCG were covering. Basically, he then, after a bit of shenanigans, meets Selena and what's the other guy?
Mark.
Yeah. He says, by the way, never go out at night whilst they're out at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hang on. What's that?
Flaming zombies are bad. Flaming fast zombies are horrifying. That's all I have to say.
It looks so darn good, but it's really just, if you think about it for a second, it's like they aren't sticking to their rules at all. And this is a very consistent thing.
Something about turning fast zombies into fast burning zombies rather than using shields and spiked bats and being silent about it.
Oh, and then blowing up a petrol station, because that's not going to draw every zombie in the city directly to us, is it?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Oh, what, the technique that's used directly in the finale, like make a massive noise to attract all the zombies?
Yeah, especially when they say, hey, the surrounding area is crawling with zombies because Manchester is cleared out of them.
Again, I'm pretty sure Eccleston was just talking about the Man City fans at that point.
Yeah.
He's a United man, is our
later, but where the hell did they get a World War II crank siren?
A fine question. I mean, maybe it was an exhibit at the mansion, but you do have to wonder, don't you?
I was going to say, to be honest, I mean, I don't think we've really invested in our army for a very long time. So,
well, hey,
true. I mean, we caught more and more of these when they're at Jim's parents' house. Like, Celine is the the
girl boss,
the gruff, no nonsense, hardcore, hardened veteran. Weirdly, it's only been 28 days, and she acts like basically she's lived in the apocalypse forever. I mean, she already had the machete, very handy, but
funny.
Maybe it's because she's a Londoner.
Londoners could be here, he thought.
That's the thing you have to factor in. They are Londoners. Like, every day is like the apocalypse. So
bring that Brixton swag to wherever Jim is. This is a very young Naomi Harris, by the way. Later to be Moneypenny.
Oh.
Yeah. Recast as Moneypenny, interestingly enough. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But here, Jim is only after a tuppence, so we don't need to bring that in. But if we're just... I mean, I'm sorry to do this, folks, but when we are talking about this film dropping IQ points, like they're, no, I won't make that analogy. Anyway, making very foolish decisions. We get the action scene, the attack on Jim's house, in which he lights a candle that draws zombies in. One smashes through the glass windows. One jumps through a skylight. Now, I've seen this many a time, but when it first came out, I don't think I've seen this for probably 20 years.
Can I just say, this is an amazing screen grab you've got there. Jim's face looks horrific.
It would spook you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's great. It was a tough one to get. That one.
It's like, when they I'm trying to think, where like a bad, like an evil person's like facing the camera and then all of a sudden their face goes demon like. It's literally what it looks like.
Yeah. It's a bit grim.
That's great. Well done.
No, thank you. But why is why does the infected come in through the skylight?
Why does nobody hear it prowling around on the roof? Somebody's pointed out in the chat, ninja zombies. Yeah, this film suffers from a terrible case of Walking Dead ninja zombies. They're perfectly silent until they're right next to you.
Is that a thing? Like, I've only seen season 1. Are they bad?
It's a big problem in The Walking Dead, and it's a big problem in a lot of zombie films, where they'll just make no noise at all until they're right next to you. So you've got the big jump scare sound and the sound of the zombie groaning in your ear. Like, reasonably, especially zombies this noisy, you could hear them from a mile off. And again, the idea that Samson, you're misbehaving.
I don't think they're ninjas. I remember your sound effects, Samson.
But like, it's so convenient that, the explosion at the petrol station, you don't get a big action scene of them having to run away from basically being encircled by all of the zombies in the city, immediately approaching where the explosion was, which could have been really cool and tense. And instead, it's just, he happens to have a very small candle on that 2 zombies, one of whom that was just like lounging around, looking at the stars on the roof, perhaps, just happen to spot him and are perfectly, completely silent until they smash through the windows. Like, it's so forced. It's cool and it's fun, but it's really forced.
My point about the gas station, going back to that, or going forward to that, 1, why would they blow it up? It would help other survivors. 2, gas stations have auto shut-off valves. It takes a lot to blow up a modern gas station. I know this because I worked as a night manager for a gas station for a while. That auto shut-off valves are very, very, very good things.
Sorry, just from the way you said that, Murgoot, it was like, and I know I hated that job. My parting gift just didn't work for them.
I only had to
blow it up, but it wouldn't work.
I don't know if you guys will think this is a nitpick or not, but just to get how hard and badass Celine is, sounding very plummy. She hacks Mark to death after he gets bitten. But, I mean, wasn't she just telling us that the worst thing is getting blood anywhere near you?
Yeah, near your mouth or nose or eyes.
She spread it everywhere. Like, she couldn't, quickly pull a mask on, or
you can see it right next to her mouth in this shot here. It's on her cheek. That could have gotten her mouth. I think it's ridiculous as well that Jim gets no blood in his mouth when a zombie gets killed while it's on top of him and bleeds all over him. I'm sorry. In this scene, if this actually happened, they're all dead.
And also,
the drop of blood from the eyeball into the father's mouth or eye, it's when you splatter blood everywhere. If you're going to use a machete, don't just keep hacking, just stab it through his throat. He'll die. Sorry, I used to think a lot about zombie survival, and
we've all been there.
Yeah, your government wrote a whole book on it, mate.
True.
Yeah,
did they really?
Actually, the government, yes, they had a plan for a zombie plague, just as never happened, but we want to be informed. And Max
That's kind of
Brooks
amazing.
of
I'm gonna have to
World
look
War
that
Z
up.
was the main.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't
Max
know
Brooks
that.
was a consultant on the U.S. Army's zombie protocol.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
great. That's great.
Yeah. But I also irks me a little bit. I know there's the whole they only have a short amount of window of time before they turn. But there's no guarantee that Mark actually was going to turn. Throughout that period where you see him with the open, admittedly, yes, he's got an open wound, but he's got
an open wound and a teeth mark in his arm. He's
done. Was there I didn't see the tooth mark. I just saw the open wound.
He got
he had a nice watch as well.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll shut up then, because it's just later on when he was like, how do you know he was going to turn? And she was like, I don't know, but he knew, it was in his eyes. Like, well, you're not a mind reader. Yeah, but yeah, anyway, yeah, if you had a bite, then fair enough. But yeah, it is a bit far fetched. Like, this is the thing, like you said, Harry. Like, these scenes, like, there's quite a few cool scenes in this movie, and yeah, they look great. But when you sort of strip it back a bit and you think, okay, like logistically, how accurate is it, or how how consistent, how viable is it? You start to see, yeah, no, okay, because there's no way that Selena hasn't got blood in her like eye or mouth, or Jim definitely. I mean, like you said, Harry, these things vomit like you wouldn't believe, and they have in other films, like you've seen them like literally throw up in this film, I think, as well. Like, they throw up on their victims, because the whole point of the rage virus is to spread. Like, it's not necessarily about like bites and things like that, it's just spread. So yeah, they'll vomit onto their victims, and that turns them. And why they don't do that to Jim, that's an incredible piece of plot armor. Also, I don't really think you see Selena after this wearing the like the riot gear. Is she wearing it? Is it on the stairwell? Is she wearing it, or is her head exposed?
she gets a bit tough. She's got like her tough outfit. Like, there are two Celines in this movie. There is tough gangster Celine, and then the second she's on a field, the magic soil turns her into soft.
Well, okay, I'm gonna look. I am gonna sort of stick up for Celine a little bit here. I'm gonna stick up for her for Selena a little bit here, because I think her character is intentionally built like that, because there is an arc with her. There is a character arc that she will go throughout this film. She's
become less competent and more stupid.
No, well, I mean, that's the unintended outcome, but hers is like, it's only been 28 days, but she's gone through a hell of a lot of loss, and essentially she's got no hope left in her. So she's just surviving day by day, and she's not forming attachments. She's got no hope, nothing to live for. She says it as much in the film, but as time goes on, and she forms a bond with Jim, and then obviously you get Frank and Hannah come along later. She sees that there could be signs of hope, when she sees the relationship between Frank and Hannah, and she sees that a daughter still has her dad and vice versa. She thinks maybe there is hope, and she starts to soften up, and she starts to almost revert back to pre-apocalypse.
Which you can tell from her accent, basically. She isn't about the machete life. Look, I love a character arc, but I think the trouble is maybe they cut out a couple of intermediary scenes, but
maybe
she does flip from what's his name? Gay gangster with a shotgun in The Wire. Come on.
No idea.
I've not watched The Wire.
He robs drug dealers and bums chaps. Come on, what's his name? Come on. Omar. There we go. That guy. Right. She dresses like him. She dresses like Omar.
Is that what he puts on his CV or his Tinder?
Yeah. Stick Up Man, which kind of covers both instances. Thank you, Danny. Yes, Omar. I shouldn't talk, should I? Sorry, guys.
On the subject of the riot gear, though, this is something that irks me with this kind of zombie logic in lots of films as well, which is anytime they're in somewhere that isn't entirely secure, they should be wearing thick leather jackets, gloves with the wrists taped, or I don't know, even just rubber banded so that there's no skin showing. They should have no skin showing. And in a film like this especially, they should always be wearing goggles, always be wearing stuff over their mouth and nose to make sure they can't be bitten, they can't get any blood or mucus or spit or anything on or around their eyes, mouth, or nose. That should always be the way. Even in World War Z, I think, I've not seen it, but I've been told there's a scene where Brad Pitt sellotapes a load of magazines around his arm so that he can't be bitten. You should be doing that kind of thing constantly. You should just get a big, thick leather jacket. Society's broken down. You can just nick one from a shop, loot it, and then you should make sure that you've never got any skin or anything showing. Covered up at all times.
100%. Yeah, me and my boy are actually watching The Walking Dead again, and we're on season 3 at the moment. You know the character Milton, Harry?
Which one was he? Was he the black
No,
guy from the first episode?
no, he was the governor's like right hand man, the geeky guy.
I've not watched it in years, but I think I know who you're on about.
So he's absolutely useless in sort of like battle scenarios, but he does go out with his group to like do things. I won't go, but you'll see him. He'll have like newspapers or like tape around his arms to like prevent the zombies from, or the walkers from biting, puncturing through and puncturing his skin. So yeah, it's absolutely something that's viable.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
If the human jaw, the teeth have a really hard time, even if you've just got a moderately thick magazine wrapped around your arm, that's really difficult to bite through.
Yep. And you're absolutely right. In World War Z, Brad Pitt's character absolutely does do that. Wraps a couple of magazines around his forearms.
Well, they're even more specific about it in the book World War Z, which they should have turned into a mini series instead of that tragedy that was the Brad Pitt movie.
No, I will defend that film.
Well, hold on. I want to support Harry's suggestion here. Yeah, big agreement. Yeah, you should be absolutely wrapped up, covered in armor, making yourself safe. In fact, probably wearing something like exactly what Frank wears in one scene to guard the stairwell, and then never wears again.
Yeah.
Even when they go into
that
the
was
country.
my question. Why didn't he have his military sweater on? Why didn't he have his helmet and his balaclava? Why didn't he take his shield with him?
Yeah, because this is the thing. Yeah, it's annoying because if you're in that scenario, you should be prepared all of the time. And the amount of even like Selena in this image here, like, yes, they're in a house. Yes, they've got walls and barriers that should, in theory, stop the biters or whatever you want to call them from breaking into the house, like from getting inside. But as you see, it's bloody easy for them to do so, and they don't feel pain because of the virus. It's completely like rewired their brain, So they're not going to care about bum rushing a window. Like, they should be tooled up, they should be suited up, and they should be prepared, because if anything happens, which looks like it happens quite a few times in this, like, they should be absolutely prepared, and they should be like kitted up for it. And yeah, Frank not being like suited up, yeah, absolutely.
Boris, people relax, but the thing is, around some people, you should never relax, John Goris. All right?
Yeah.
That was a mistake. He had the kit, he ditches it. This is the film being stupid. You get a really cool scene. He looks amazing guarding the stairwell. That feels like a really believable scenario. He's barricaded himself. Good lad, smart lad.
Can we talk about Frank on the roof with Jim and the buckets and the buckets?
Oh, I would love to. Just one thing before that, though. Frank guarded like a chav. There's all sorts of dangerous people out there. Why does he let two armed strangers go directly past him to his daughter?
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, like, let's have a bit of caution. You don't know who these people are. Like, I understand it's tricky, but you put your back to them. You don't know who these people are. Good decision, bad decision, too picky? Is he just glad to see non-infected people? I don't know.
They could absolutely, yeah, exactly, yeah. They could, but yeah, that for all he knows, they could have been looters,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hannah's the one with common sense, because they're like, open the door, and she's like, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad?" Like, she refuses to open the door until she knows her dad's safe. She's got bloody common sense. Yeah, well done. Terrible actress, but solid decision making in that moment.
She ditched it after this. She became a little singer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'm absolutely. Hannah set up a quarantine room if they had the whole floor to themselves.
I am absolutely convinced, right, that the scene, we'll get to it later, but I'm absolutely convinced that the scene with Selena and Hannah, and she like plies her with Valium, is just to make the acting convincing.
Everything was weirdly, she was specifically picked out by Danny Boyle.
Oh, really?
Like, she didn't have a lot of acting experience. He picked her out specifically. And I just, oof, man. That was some flat readings in that.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Yeah. But anyway, you like that scene on the roof with the buckets. Another
Yeah.
memorable scene. Looked gorgeous. I don't think I haven't got a screen cap for it.
Oh. But yeah, so many buckets to collect water, so many like baskets, and there's quite a few there of washing baskets that just would never collect water.
Hang on, I'm going to look for that.
Yeah,
I bet I can find it. Let me mute while I.
Right, chaps. While Horror Show's looking for that, what would you do in that scenario? Oh yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah, so you touched on it. Yeah, Murgoot, Selena's amazing like logic. They're on the stairwell. They're going up. They're going up. They hear noises, and Selena's response is quiet. I can hear them. Right.
And yeah, she's like 3 times louder than Jim is when he's like, "Oh, they're infected." Yes, shut up. Be quiet. You're gonna draw them to us, Jim.
Yeah. Jim, like standing up, doing star jumps. They're gonna see us.
TCG, you're totally right. Look at them.
Wait a second. Yeah, they've got washing hampers. I never noticed that before.
Oh my lord!
Frank,
really?
you dumb
Frank, what the are you doing?
Frank, no.
It's the only time that and him getting that getting that blood in his eye. That I just thought, Frank, yeah, you
bloody hell.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing, Frank?
Oh no. Not like this, Frank. Not later. Like this.
Oh God.
Oh no.
My thought is they're what, about 7 stories up a 15-story tower block? And how did he have the energy to clear the rooms? I mean,
good point.
Or why are there not more survivors living in that same flat building?
Yeah.
It's one or the other. Either there's lots of them or they're all dead.
And also
clearing a dark hallway like that solo is nearly impossible. It's deadly as hell.
Not to mention the fact that they've got the Christmas lights blaring out like the friggin' bat signal.
Yeah, whereas one single candle brought them in through the skylight.
Yep.
Why aren't they just flying through the window? Why aren't they climbing up the balcony?
Mate, could you imagine if that actually happened in the film? Like you just see
they
about
should be spawning, right?
Like
Dracula from the skylight.
Well, the
procedurally generated zombies.
They've attracted the fast zombies downstairs, the ragers. How do they get out of the tower block without getting attacked right off? And then they go straight to a totally untouched grocery store with power and glass doors. How the hell is that not looted? The glass all broken, and everything in the refrigerator's warm and rotten.
The people in London were much better behaved 23 years ago. Clearly, this is the last vestiges of British manners.
Oh no!
I just I whimpered and cried because even in the 80s, the schlock zombie films, what's the first thing they go for? Surviving humans go for food. They go for water. They go for alcohol. They go for.
I would counter.
In Dawn of the Dead isn't the only reason that the mall that they're in is still immaculate is because they get in through the roof and it had been locked off.
No. Are you talking what the original or the remake?
The original. I've not watched the remake. I'm almost certain
you haven't watched the remake.
No, is that something that I'm supposed to have watched?
Mate, you should watch it.
It's pretty darn good.
Oh, all right. Well, I really like the original. I'm almost certain they get in a helicopter.
They do.
Yeah. So if the rest of the mall is closed up and locked up and people can't get in, at least that's a reason why that mall is mostly fine. And even then, there's still quite a lot of zombies in there.
But this is a store on a street front with glass walls. I'm sorry.
I will
how does it still have power?
I will
Jenny has-
counter Murgoot with it's a budgeons. It doesn't exist, therefore it was always going to be fully stocked.
God.
Also,
How's
King
the
Liam.
produce not rotten after
Well,
28
it
days?
is.
Oh,
It is.
most of it was.
Most of it was. Yeah. There's a little scene where all of like the fruit and veg are like rotten, apart from these like green apples, which have obviously been like, I don't know, something's been done with them to preserve them.
Sprayed in all sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
King Liam 1995. Are we supposed to hate this? No.
No, you don't have to hate
It's a great
it.
film. It's a great film, but it's just one of those films where if you peel the layers back, you start to see problems. But it doesn't take away any of the enjoyment. When 28 years later was announced, and there was this massive panic over the fact that 28 days later could not be downloaded or streamed anywhere, I was smugly chuckling to myself because I had this movie and the sequel on DVD.
I've got it on DVD as well.
That's great.
Forgotten media these days.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a decent to good zombie flick. Yes, sue me, but it's got Danny Boyle is not good for continuation. He's not good for details.
I'd also say
Well, this would
Alex
be,
Garland
Alex Garland.
can't escape this. And this is his second accepted screenplay. And I like Alex Garland.
What was his first one?
The Beach.
I've
Beach
not
was
watched
his
that.
first one. Kind of interesting. There's something it's got very much in common with this, which is the idea of like the guy forced out as an outsider who basically strips naked and goes savage and basically takes people down, starts stalking like that in order to win the day. It's sort of an idea he returned to in this. But otherwise, not too much of a connection. Although thematically we might.
Shall we touch on a theme?
Oh, right.
We've been very negative so far towards the writing, but I think all of this is pointing very clearly to. I hate. I'm trying to be positive, but I hate to be negative again. What is a very common trope these days in zombie films, and mentioning Dawn of the Dead goes all the way back to zombie film classics, which is the idea of the breakdown of human society. All you're left with is this like empty consumerism. There's a lot of use of logos in this early part of the film. When they get out of the city, there's a lot less of it, but they're always stopping at shops. They're always having to go through all of this plastic tat. They're having to subsist on Maltesers and cans of fizzy pop. So there's it seems like in a very Dawn of the Dead way, there's this critique of the society we've built up around us is pretty artificial, and all that will be left in a societal breakdown is a bunch of colourful logos that won't actually be enough to survive on.
28 Days Later, sponsored by PepsiCo.
Could you tell?
Well, they were specifically sponsored by the National Lottery as well, which is why
see lottery tickets and scratchers everywhere.
Yeah, they funded it, so that's why it's in everywhere.
That makes sense.
It's definitely a theme that they get on. Obviously, Dawn of the Dead is one of the first to sort of really push that, and this I think does come from a different angle, which I think we were really clued into from the start. But I don't know. Shall we just get through the plot and then talk a little bit about what it was trying to say?
Yeah, sadly, this has been the longest pint pull we've ever done.
I know. Sometimes it just goes like this. Didn't we do like a 3-hour pint pull with Harry in once?
Pretty sure we did.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like that. I mean, let's make it longer. Let's rewind. Can we talk about the idiocy of going through the tunnel?
Oh, dear God.
We got the millennial writing special of, this is a really stupid idea. And then they go for it.
Well, I know London taxis are tough, but driving over other cars and then dropping herself so that the suspension and the underbody sparks on the tarmac. Yeah, they blew a tire, but they should have popped the transmission off the engine at that point. I'm just saying, it made for neat effects, but with the way the Ragers nap in dark places, they should have been all around in that tunnel.
They absolutely
especially with
should.
that
Yeah.
congestion.
Yeah, they should have never gone there. Like, it was just a terrible idea. And when they saw the thing, they should have backed out. It was just saying it's a terrible idea doesn't justify them doing it. It just sort of, I think that's a very millennial writing trick.
Well,
and then the other thing was, I did notice, like, after the chase, you did see basically all the Ragers just kind of cooled off and walked, which just seemed like a little bit character breaking.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't quite established that yet. It's just a little oddity, like when the kid starts talking, has this little, as you said, Anakin moment. It's like just a little bit of character breaking in how the Ragers work.
Well, do you mind if I do a pub pour just really quick, just so our tangents can go on?
Sure, go on, rock on.
Jim wakes up. Well, first things first, there's the animal rights activists. They hold the idiot ball and let themselves be attacked by rabid chimpanzees. Jim wakes up in the hospital, shows off his doodle, gets himself dressed, laps up the Pepsi off the floor, comes out, ignores the ambulances, and staggers down the street and wonders why there's nobody around instead of getting on the radio like a real person and figuring it out on his own. Gets picked up by Mark and Celine, runs away from a flaming rage zombie. Mark dies. Celine kills Mark. They meet up with Frank and Hannah. They escape in Frank's black cab, and they're heading past Manchester to a military blockade that promises the truth of the infection and a possible cure, and end up in a life or death fight with not only Ragers, but with the military men themselves.
Nice. Efficient. I like it. With you like the anti-Aryan.
I try.
That was good. It was good. Oh, I have a minor note on here, just for a tangent. So now we can go fully into tangents now. We're going to praise the music a fair amount. Just something I noted here was an excellent little song called AM 180 by Grandaddy that plays while they're in the Budgeons and they're looting it gleefully. And it stood out to me because, I don't know, did any of you recognize it from anywhere?
No.
It's the theme tune to Charlie Brooker's Screen Wipe, which is it's Charlie Brooker who would make Black Mirror and Dead Set, a fantastic zombie series. Though I just thought that was a cute little connection. Anyway, little trivia done.
Although I do have to say that Frank had good taste in 16-year-old Macallan single malt.
I think it was Lagavulin.
Oh, okay.
So I looked that up. Sorry.
Okay. Either way.
No worries. Nerding out. You know all the car details. I can recognize a whiskey.
Yeah, I'm not a big whiskey person. Never have been. Vodka was my poison of choice for a while.
Chat recommended some very good vodkas, to be honest. Hang on. Here we go, by the way. As a nice little detail, he takes 3 bottles of it, and then Major West has got them in his study. I thought that was a nice touch. But I had a question for you about something that happens before they get to Manchester, which I was going to say I did not like this. I wanted to ask you guys, is this when Jim decides to go into a cafe and just see if he can kill something, did he have any reason for this? Or was it
He wanted
simply
to see if there
an
was
action of
food.
something? Was that right? Like,
It's yeah.
I know he said it, but I don't know if he was just giving an excuse. I mean, this scene seemed
I don't
really,
think he
really
wanted.
weird to me.
He wanted to scout out the building to see if there was anything useful, and
Yeah, I think it was more scouting.
he took the idiot ball and went alone like the moron he is.
Yeah.
My question was, black cabs use diesel, right? Or are they gasoline?
Ooh, I do not know.
Do you know, Harry?
No clue. Sorry, chat.
It's big deal. Well, Frank knows what he's doing. He knows the difference between the scent of gasoline and the scent of kerosene, so he's good. But the fact that the tanker
Just
is
giving
there,
it a quick
no,
Google
it's
says
with-
diesel.
Diesel, yeah. Although nowadays they're kind of like a petrol electric hybrid.
But yeah, it's knowing how to get into a tanker truck is a pain in the ass, but he should have been siphoning out of the truck's cans then rather than the main tank. Just me. Just a little point. Something screenwriters probably don't know about. But yeah, Jim was scouting it for useful stuff. He'd made a comment about cheeseburgers. Maybe I can find something, and then it's like I'm going forward.
I don't know, man. I mean, it could just be idiot balling, but it just seemed like facetious to me. Oh, mute yourself there, Murgoot. Phone sorted. I know, Harry. What was your take on this scene? Because it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't think he was really going for the cheeseburgers. It seemed like he decided he had to prove something.
Do you know what this scene seemed like to me?
Rock on.
It seemed like the Danny Boyle, ooh, aren't I edgy scene. Like, because Danny Boyle, especially back then, coming off of Train Spotting and films like that, was a big edgy boy. Train Spotting has, by the way, just as a side note here, I know everybody loves Train Spotting. I hate Train Spotting. I hate it. It's an awful, miserable film with no moral center to it whatsoever. Everybody in that film is terrible. Everything that happens to them is terrible. And it's a story where just miserable things happen constantly. But in that, there's quite notoriously a very lingering shot of dead baby in crib, dead because of neglect from the mother, who's a heroin addict. In this, he's like, ooh, look, another dead baby. You love seeing dead babies in my films, don't you? Oh, now he's got to kill a child zombie. Ooh, this is edgy. This is extreme and grown up. I'm so grown up, aren't I, guys? I make such grown up.
Yeah.
That's what this scene felt like. This scene
That
felt like Danny
literal-
Boyle patting himself on the back for being so grown up and edgy.
That and the literal toilet joke, the worst toilet in Scotland scene was just takes you out of the movie. Yeah, it's humorous as hell, but he does go for the edgy boy jokes.
Yeah, I think I lean with that. It's okay if you're going as extreme as showing like kids being killed, dead babies. It's like, why are you going that extreme? You know, why do you have to do that? And it didn't seem to serve any purpose. Jim didn't seem to have a sensible reaction to that at all. So I'd go for it.
He was also specifically told multiple times not to go anywhere alone. And why they let him go off alone is beyond me.
Yeah. And as we already met, so it seems like a stupid moment. And as we said already, the kid saying, I hate you as a zombie is like another moment of, guys, if you're paying attention, surely you catch that. Surely you remove that. But
it sounds like it was superimposed over the rest of the audio, because the kid, by the looks of it, is still groaning and growling at him. And then you just hear, I hate you. So the weird thing was, I was thinking, like, is this supposed to be Jim imagining the zombie kid saying this? Am I supposed to be taking this literally? If so, it's either a mess up in that he never shows any signs of hallucinating anything like that ever again, or it's a mess up in that why is this zombie kid able to speak when the rest of them can't?
I think we got to file it under F up. As with, like, this isn't a one-off. This might sound excessively negative. We have nice things to say about this movie, but just you rewatch it and gosh darn it, you can't go 5 minutes without a head-slappingly stupid moment. Such as hardcore survivalist Celine never relax. Celine, gotta stay ready. Have my machete. Hey, we're out in the open in unfamiliar country with, like, we're not, you're like literally out in the open, not secure, not in a locked house. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a nice light source, you know, the kind of thing that attracts zombies. And I'm going to take sleeping pills.
Not just sleeping pills. I think they're Valium.
Valiums, yeah.
I'm going to take some nice Valiums so I can be ready when zombies come and eat me in the night. Like, this is 18 IQ behavior, right?
Let's camp at buildings. Yeah, they're ruins, but they're places for ragers to hide during the day, and they know they come out at night. They light a fire, and they take Valium to go to sleep like freaking morons. And I did like Jim's dream about being his nightmare about being left, which is that was actually pretty good. That was a nice touch.
I think Selena's real name is Debbie Mathers.
Hang on.
Come on.
Wait a second. Yeah. What's the line?
My mom like Valium.
Must have a dollar for every pill I've been stealing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was thinking of, my mom like Valium and lots of drugs. That's why I'm on what I'm on, because I'm like her.
This channel can only go so long without slipping into an Eminem quote.
I'll tell you what, the amount of copyright claims that this particular stream's going to get. With Harry's guitar playing, Eminem lines.
We then get to, as we mentioned, heading to the blockade via Manchester. Why is Manchester burning? City fans, etc.
Yep.
But once they get there at the blockade, nothing doing. And Frank, in his frustration, chimps out. But, I mean, once he's got the rage, it's a great scene. It's effective. It's so well acted by Brendan Gleeson. But also, why do the soldiers do nothing until he's turned?
Yep.
Why? They're there watching. Why do they do that?
I have a theory, but again, it's stupid when you find out later on what their intentions are. I feel like they get one of them out of the way, or hope that one of them gets or puts themselves in a position where they're no longer corpus mentis, so that there's less of a threat. But then But then I think, but then when you think about it more, they should have just done away with Jim as well, and then just taken because obviously their intention wasn't to ask politely for the girls.
Yeah, they're in this weird middle ground. Like, okay, you know, as people in the chat are saying, they want the guys to like.
Yeah, it's it's obvious. Yeah, I mean, and you know, in terms of who's the more imposing, clearly Frank is much more of an imposing figure than Jim is. But yeah, you kind of think, well, yeah, I suppose it also kind of makes sense what John said, that they want to come across as saviors, like, you know, you can sort of lull them into a full sense of security. So I suppose that could that could work.
If the chaps aren't going along with it, you've got enough guys to take care of them. That's fine. And if you are going all out Genghis mode and you're just going to grab the women, shoot Jim too. You know, but this is a weird halfway ground that doesn't make sense unless it's only so that you can hide their motives until a dramatic reveal later. It's just, it doesn't hold together.
Yeah, the reveal does kind of come out of nowhere as well. I see what Dissident Knight says about them wanting to turn Jim, like to get Jim to align with them. It kind of just feels a bit forced, if you ask me.
Yeah, Frank could have done it too.
Yeah,
Frank could have been good too. They could have turned Frank. They never know. He could be a useful guy.
No. Frank would have been way more tricky because of Hannah. But they don't. True, but they don't know the relationship. They
Hannah does say, Dad, what are you doing? And they know darn well that
they've waited a while until that happens.
Yeah, but she also says, like, what's the line? She's like, I want to bury my father. So, like, I don't think it would have taken them long to clock. Oh, hang on a minute, daddy-daughter relationship. It's not exactly. We're not. You know, this guy is not a Lost Prophets band member, shall we say?
No. This is you know, just on the whole Lost Prophets thing. You know, I found it really weird. Like H from Steps, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
Why is H from Steps H from Steps? Well, because H's real name is Ian Watkins.
Yeah, less said
the
about
same
that,
as yeah. You'd go by H. You'd pick any letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Mine a weird tangent for you guys, but yeah, this is. I'm gonna hold on. This is a rule of cool thing, rule of scary thing. We need something like this. But the soldiers do not have a good reason to hold off. They don't know that, you know, they can basically. Sorry, it's not defensible. If they hang around, they can work out the relationship between Frank and Hannah. It's fine, but they didn't need to. And if it's something that's problematic, they could work with it. You know, they could work with it. They can take care of him. They've taken care of loads of people, as we see, because of the big pile of bodies. It doesn't hold together. But then, admittedly, where is it? Dr. Prepper said, it is the most absurdly incompetent and disorganized army unit of all time. And yet it's the only one they can find that's managed to survive all the time. Well, you know, I did say this to the guys in DMs and in the chat, but if you'll hear Danny Boyle described as an English director. He's an English director, right? But it just so happens that Mr. Boyle's parents, both of them, are from County Galway. I can't think why that might mean he'd choose to display the English soldiers as disorganized, cruel, dysgenic, alopecia-ridden, low IQ morons with a brand of cruelty. I can't think what. I don't think that would have any impact on his decisions whatsoever. No. I don't even know why I said that, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned magic soil earlier. Like, come on.
That's got to be it. So, I mean, kind of cutting to it because I realize we're on this quite a lot, but there's so many stupid things in this movie. Before we get into the absolute atrocity that is the finale, where everyone drops 40 IQ points.
Well,
Minus.
Why they set up the blockade as a maze to drive people through instead of setting up a chevron blockade where they can back one or two cars away so that they can drive through. Why they would set it up as a maze? Those military guys are stupid.
Oh yes, there's so much we can pull apart. But
fire discipline negative.
It gets very bad. That's where Major West completely drops his IQ as well, just firing randomly. But his initial plan when we meet him, Major West is a bit of a Chad, you know? He's dressed smartly, he's keeping order, he's giving the men morale. It's all looking pretty good. He's requisitioned a great location and he's keeping it brief. Now, he does have his plan for salvation, which is rebuilding. And this is a cause of contention. Effectively, you know, when it comes down to it, he needs women. The cure for salvation is basically rebuild it. Sorry, the cure for infection is rebuilding society, which is breeding. Now, he's meant to be the villain of the film, but this channel does have quite a nice long history of having a bit of sympathy for the devil. West did absolutely nothing wrong, guys. Okay, look, the deployment of the plan is not good, and I would suspect is maybe a little bit of propaganda, you know. The army grunts, you know, couldn't wait, but they are being made to be, well, act in a very un-English way.
It's been 4 weeks.
It's not very believable that they act that quickly, but his basic plan, he doesn't join in on the party. It's the soldiers getting carried away with it, but his basic plan is solid. Now, I realise it shouldn't immediately become a Diddy party the way it does.
I've not spoken up for a while, and thinking about it, I have to point out another problem with this, which is they've been waiting around for a few weeks in this big house, in this chateau, in this manor house, right? Okay. And they're already giving up hope. Oh, there was rumors that it went onto the mainland. Oh, we're all hopeless. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And there's only one guy in the army unit who says, obviously they've quarantined the island. Obviously it's not got off the island. How would it even get off the island? They've quarantined the island. Now, nobody in that entire time, yes, here we go, thought to look up. Nobody looked up for 28 days. All it takes was Jim tripping over and lying down for less than a minute to see a plane flying overhead, checking out the environment and see what's happening on the mainland. On the mainland, yeah. None of these trained soldiers thought to look up for 28 days. They've already given up hope. Right. They've not tried to build a signal, not something that would draw the zombies, just like a load of bed sheets, colorful ribbons and such tied together like they do at the end of the film. None of these soldiers thought to do that.
No long-range radio?
I'll just say, look, Danny Boyle must have the opinion that everyone in England have the necks of dogs.
This is Irish propaganda.
Really, yeah.
Treating the military forces as dad's army gone feral. The pure incompetence. I mean, when you've got a tornado flying over at 500 feet, those things are freaking loud. And when they have a Vulcan flying over, those are even louder. And just
I live underneath a flight path, and I can always hear them going overhead, especially at nighttime when it's already quiet. You can always hear them. They're really loud.
Yeah, I live in Colorado Springs, and I'm about 2 miles away from Peterson Air Force Base, and they have I've had to mute myself for minutes because combat air patrols fly over, and let me tell you, F-15 scream. Come on, guys.
See, now I'm feeling like a 28 days later character now, because I didn't even think about that. There's plenty of stuff I spotted that's stupid, but I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they should have known. But you know, I guess my concern here is like the idea that he's presented as this terrible evil. But I mean, I'm sure we can all think of cases where liberal democracy has, in a time of crisis, not been so liberal or democratic.
Yeah, but
Liberal democracy, in a time of crisis, liberal democracies conscript. Like, we did all go through 2020.
Yeah, right. Okay, look.
And, like, is he a villain
Yeah.
for being like, yeah, I'm sorry, Whammons, love you. You're going to get pudding. Trust me. There'll be tea, there'll be coffee, there'll be pudding. But you do have a very specialist skill here.
The only way sorry, look, horror show. The only way that this plan could possibly work, okay, that if West was in the right, the only way this could have worked is if Selena and Hannah were Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips, because then the issue of the dreaded R word would not come into the equation, because they'd be like, sure, yeah, why not?
Well, West
mind you, Christ, you think the rage virus is bad? I dread to think what they're carrying.
Oh, no.
Well, West is an incompetent villain setting up his own fiefdom. I mean, come on. His main communications jeep has a pintle-mounted machine gun and a full radio whip. All he had to do was turn the ignition, turn on the radio to the Air Force frequency, tell them they were there. I need some support. If you can't give me support, can you at least drop a couple pallets of things and check in? He's basically creating a fiefdom of his own and not working with any other military forces, which is his downfall.
See Stretford Ender's comment. I have a theory that the soldiers aren't even real soldiers. Their mannerisms, their professionalism is just all off, and not in any way how a soldier would act. That's interesting.
I kind of like that. I mean, they are very
Hang on a
dysgenic
minute,
and low IQ.
guys. I mentioned Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips, and all of a sudden Harry starts strumming.
What do you mean by this?
Oh shit! I wasn't muted.
We're enjoying it. It's all good.
Yeah, carry on, man.
No, you get copyright struck again. That was Rasputin.
No.
I like that theory though, Stretford.
I do like it. I mean, they are presented.
I love
as
the Avatar as well.
Dysgenic. Where are they? These guys, they don't do it. Like, some of them are probably, but yeah, a bunch of them really don't show that they know what they're doing. It's not a great depiction.
The cook who isn't a cook, and Wes saying, "Did you even? These eggs are off. Did you even take a whiff?" Well, I thought I could make it work with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and everybody just looks at him. It's like he's a cook who isn't even a cook. Come on, people.
He was made to be a bit of a for Americans, a bit of a Frank Spencer parody character, a reference. So he was a character in Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, a very old sitcom. Like, he was clearly foppish. He was wearing his beret in a Frank Spencer way, and dressing up in the apron. If they'd gone another 28 days later, I think it'd have been, well, there are some needs that might have need to have been met, but we won't go into that. So I think we've talked about, like, basically, West's plan.
I'm also,
it's being slandered, but it's kind of sensible. Like, needs must, guys.
Look,
like,
right, yeah.
Your property rights aren't going to survive this. And
horror show, your property rights would be violated if you were there. Is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well, West Sergeant, who's a
like Negan, like I said to you, sorry to interrupt, but like I said to you, like in DMs, like Negan in The Walking Dead was one evil son of a bitch, but I mean, even he didn't endorse the dreaded R word.
Well, look, I am absolutely disowning and disapproving and disavowing the Diddy party almost immediately launched upon Selena and Hannah. But
I think you're
West is
reminding
not
me
exactly
somewhat.
wrong.
Was it ER who did the review of Mad Max Fury Road, where he points out that if the women who were like what's his face's breeding women were actually in the Mad Max post-apocalypse world, they would be the most privileged, lucky women on the entire planet, because they have access to books, they have access to leisure, they have access to amenities, and they have easy access to water. Like, beyond feminist, like girl power plot points, what would be their logical reason if they were already in that situation to go, I want to tough it out in the desert where I will starve or where I'll starve to death or die of dehydration in a few days?
Well, as we know from all women's average political voting patterns, what they really want is self-determination. That natural libertarians, that's why they left. I can't keep that up, but yes, ER made excellent points in that
what's his
review and
name?
all reviews.
Immortum Joe. That was the name of the bad guy, wasn't it? Yeah. Like
He's
I'm
he's
He's a
definitely a
payday.
reason to escape.
I'm sorry, right? If I was a woman in that world, and Immortum Joe's like, pop me out a few kids every now and again, and I will look after you. You'll have easy access to water. You'll even have books to read, so that in the time that you aren't just trying to struggle to survive, you'll actually have something to do other than stare at a wall. That's a pretty tempting offer.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm sure. Look, at the end of the day, right, they're West to a degree, right. I get your thought process with this horror show, right? Ultimately, and I'm not saying that there wouldn't be women who would be, maybe not up for it, but would look at the scenario, weigh up the options, and think, okay, this is something that I'm prepared to do, right? What you got to bear in mind is Selena ain't up for it, not willing to participate, and Hannah's a bloody child at the end of the day. Like, so we're, ill, like on way too many levels. But I will, because Stretford End has been enjoying the city slander, I will leave it with this. I'll leave you all with this. The only man who could come up with a plan as sick as this is a Man City fan.
Really fueling that.
Underneath that military attire is a 1995-96 Man City home kit with the old brother sponsor.
Checks out.
Guarantee it. Checks out.
Well, with that discussed, I think the thing remaining is just the absolute disaster that is the finale. I mean, where does it go wrong, guys, from here?
Well, first there's the experiment where West has one of his.
I just looked it up, and in real life, Christopher Eccleston, he's a Man U lad.
No, well, he's an actor. He was acting in a.
Yeah.
He look. It wasn't Christopher Eccleston creating this plan. It was Major West. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Look, Danny Dyer in Football Factory plays a Chelsea fan. He's a West Ham fan in real life.
If it's good enough for Danny Dyer,
so I'll leave it there.
That's the new Danny Dyer rule. Listen, if it's good enough for Danny Dyer, then it's good enough.
Well, yeah, I think basically this is a point where we will, if we were Mauler, there would be a 90-minute section on the ending minimum just for the plot issues. There is so much that goes wrong. Like, you've got cool things. This looks good. The idea of, there were loads of cars at the blockade, but where is everyone? Oh, they're all here. Oh, they all got murdered here. Ah, right. Okay. That's all right. That's pretty good. That's a nice little detail. But unfortunately, this is one of those cases where you set a character up for certain doom and then you have to cheat. I believe we all remember the fantastic Annie Wilkes speech in Misery about this, so I won't recite it for you. But basically, there's no way he got out of the cock-a-doodle shooting range here. Like, you have to have the soldiers act like absolute tards for him to escape. And then beyond that, the stuff that happens, like, was it you were picking up on TCG? Like, how did he get shirtless? Like,
it's like
my comment about it is those zip cuffs. Even I can't break them in under a couple minutes. He had seconds to do it, and he would have shredded his hands doing it because those things are nasty.
It's the fact that he gets topless with while he's still got the
zip cuffs on.
Like, sure,
you're meant to believe just from
you can snag your jumper or your shirt on something, on a bit of barbed wire, whatever it was, but it's not removing the entire thing. I'm sorry. It just
No, done for thematics, done for aesthetics, but
unless
done as
it was
rocks.
unless it was like one bit of thread that got caught, and as he was running along, it was just slowly stripping it away, like a Tom and Jerry skit scene.
He went from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall. He doesn't have zip cuffs. His hands aren't shredded. And then it shows the wall with his sweater on the concertina wire. It's like, no, it wouldn't work that way. Sorry.
Yeah, he runs away to the blockade to summon a bunch of zombies. Infected. When he needs a sort of force multiplier in his favor. Yeah, maybe
And
a good
also-
idea as a
How the
distraction.
hell did he
Also-
get through the minefield without
Well,
knowing
again,
that-
I can explain that. So basically, as he is heading back towards the mansion, he stumbled across blueprints of the entire layout of the mansion,
Oh, there we go.
including little dots like where the mines have been marked. And he also came across the Rambo trilogy DVD box set.
Oh, nice.
And he decided to just sit back and watch those on 2x speed because time is important. And,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
So I was just doing a
yeah.
little brush up. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Danny Boyle had to cut that from the movie, which is why it seems a little bit odd that he could get back to the mansion and all of a sudden knows every single bloody secret room and secret
that,
door
isn't
in
it?
that. In
I
that
kind of
mansion.
looked away. How did he get Hatton to free himself and not drag the entire chain around with him?
Shot the he
That's a really good point. I
Yeah.
mean, this guy. So I think that's Private Mailer, was it?
don't show this to
I thought
us.
it was
No.
Hatton, but it
Oh,
doesn't
apologies. It could be wrong.
doesn't really matter. He shoots the chain at the end of the courtyard. How does the private not be dragging the chain through everywhere, just making an unholy racket?
It wasn't a gold chain, so he discarded
Ninja
it.
zombie rules. As mentioned earlier, they do it in all these films, all these TV shows. You asked for an example of The Walking Dead doing it, actually, and I just remembered, Chloe, that there is one in the very first episode, in fact.
Oh.
Remember when he gets to Atlanta and he's walking through the city and it's empty and there's all the cars piled up, and then he just comes across that enormous street that's filled with zombies? Do you hear those zombies before they come into view, or is it just the jump scare?
I think it might be the jump scare.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we
happens
didn't
a
see
lot.
them, so they wouldn't exist.
That's how these films and TV shows kind of treat zombies. They don't exist until they're on screen, so they're muted until you see them.
This is sadly very common film logic. You don't need to have object permanence, but there's another kind of idiocy. Like Jim's grand plan, aside from summoning zombies to the place, is to unleash a zombie into the house with Selena and Hannah, not knowing where they are,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing if he can control this infection. And it is literally just plot armor that protects them.
Yeah.
This was the stupidest idea.
Oh yeah, this is big brain time.
And
But do you have that little clip of Martin Scorsese going absolute cinema? That's what that's all I can think of. Right?
I haven't. Oh, I need it. I'm trying to think of that one, but oh gosh.
Well, the guy just standing there with the rifle that has a bayonet but doesn't have a bayonet lug on it because it's a bullpup.
Wait, is that when Jim just actually gets a really useful weapon but just bayonets the guy and then leaves the really useful weapon? Is that scene?
And the
or
guy's standing there for like 15 seconds before dropping to the ground. I'm just like, it doesn't work that way. And why did Jim not take the gun with him?
How about little Hannah, who is so doped up on Valium that she forgets what kissing is, but is smart enough and coordinated enough to hang from the back of a mirror when she hears a zombie come in.
And has the coordination to hang on.
Yeah,
I
this movie dropped 40 IQ points to make this stuff work. It's the only explanation is plot armor, idiot balls. Nothing bloody works. Major West just decides he's just going to waste ammo. Jim takes out his first soldier and has time to, he takes out the first one and decides he's got time to drag the guy down the ladder into a car, prop him up. He has the time to do all of this.
Sorry, it's cracking me up.
I'm sorry, Lawrence.
It's a great film. It is a good film.
I had a good time.
I promise.
It's just look. It's a Melinda Messenger of films. It looks amazing, but it is. Well, actually, didn't she have a maths PhD?
Probably.
Chat. Can I have a fact check? Did Melinda Messenger have a PhD?
Oh, wow.
Can I get a different example? Who's a better example? Harry, any gorgeous but thick women come to mind?
Oh, I've got an.
I'll let TCG bury himself. Dig that hole.
There you go.
Oh, hey, we don't know she's thick.
Hey, wait a second.
Oh, she thick.
I would recognise that anyway.
Oh, she thick.
Oh, darn it. There is no escape. Okay, apparently Melinda Messenger does not have a PhD.
No, she was a flight attendant and a marketing manager. Oh.
Melinda Messenger degree.
I just googled it. She didn't. Oh wait, no degree. I searched for PhD.
Oh no, she seems to have got this far later than I'm thinking of. She's coincidentally, yeah, she undertook training in psychotherapy and is practicing it since 2015. So this doesn't count. No, you can't have that Melinda Messenger. No. Oh, right, sorry. Didn't think we'd have a Melinda Messenger tangent.
You're talking about the TV host and model.
Oh yes.
I've never heard of her.
Really?
You've never
you
heard
are
of
very
Melinda
young,
Messenger?
Harry.
I'm a little baby.
I know. I am the crypt keeper, basically. So everyone is far too young. It's disgraceful. Yes.
Well, I'm the little baby of this group, but now I know people who call me old.
Are you getting unked?
It's just the way of the world. Well, I'm in my late 20s now, right?
You haven't even hit 30.
Nope, I have not. It's my 29th birthday later this month. And now I'm in my late 20s, meeting people in their early 20s. They call me all sorts of mean things. They call me grandpa, old man, yesterday's news. It's
Peanut Arbuckle.
Everybody calls me Peanut Arbuckle. They call me Red Dress. They call me Doorway.
Hang on, Harry. You are like a 24-hour Lotus Eaters upload. Yesterday's news.
Oh, the pain.
Savagery.
Bitch, I'm angelic. Just imagine me floating away now.
Somebody should send Harry black
28. 28 is young.
Birthday.
Oh dear. Harry, any particular favourite bits of absolute jaw-dropping idiocy from the finale in order to make it happen?
Honestly, the film got so nonsensical at this point that I kind of zoned out and just experienced it as a pure sensory experience, whereas just watching lights on a screen flash in front of my eyes. I suppose the Major's genius idea that instead of just, when seeing that all of his men are dead, instead of just getting away, that he would sit in the back of a car so that he could make a dramatic speech without checking that no one was in the driver's seat.
Oh, brilliant.
That was a genius move.
Oh God.
How about you, Murgoot? Any favourite moments of absolute jaw-dropping idiot ball nonsense from the finale?
Oh, when they've taken the corporal and Jim to the dead pile, and the one guy just fires off, and it's just their fire discipline, especially the majors. Oh my God, they're not real soldiers, because most people just need a double tap, not firing half of a magazine into somebody. I mean, even troops out of basic training, even in the UK, should know one burst, or if they're on single shot, a double tap to take somebody down instead of just spray and pray. And then the major doing it to attract attention, and all he does is chase Jim off and attract ragers. It's just, what the hell are you thinking? Why? You should know better.
Glorious. How about you, TCG? Any favourite moment of absolute nincompoopry?
Yeah, Jim's plan at the end. His complete disregard for the safety of Hannah and Selena.
I particularly liked, instead of saying, Selena, it's okay, I'm not infected, he just sort of lets her swing a machete at him.
Well,
that was more than a heartbeat.
She waits more than 20 seconds. She just stares at him. He's covered in blood. And after what she did to Mark, within 10 seconds and just hacking at him, she should have been flying across the room trying to kill Jim.
She should have been, but that's the point. Selena's arc. She has the feels now. She's not this heartless, cold survivor anymore. She's
stupid now.
She's holding on to hope that she didn't previously have earlier in the film. It makes sense.
Yeah, she's got brain damage now.
But Jim, maybe he should have secured their safety first and then unleashed the rage baiters onto the troops. But no, I tell you what I'll do. I'll unleash the Fury Mitch, and then I will just hope that I find both of my friends alive and well.
Yeah. Well,
hey, but like to be positive for a second though, sure was cool.
Looks amazing.
Sure was cool, and the music building in the background, great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't think we named it yet specifically, but we should, because it's absolutely wonderful.
The eye gouging was a beautiful scene of gore. It's just, you can't really kill a person that way because there's bones and the eye sockets where you can't get to the brain easily. You need something sharp and hard.
Sure was cool.
Screwdriver or something.
Jim had long nails. He hadn't clipped them for 28 days.
God.
I really do feel like if I was sat with Alex Garland and Danny Boyle in 2002, whenever they were producing this film and directing it and everything, and we asked all of these questions, they would just turn to us and go, "Yeah, but it's cool. It'll be cool though. It'll be really cool. People will really like it." And they will ignore everything that we're saying. And they were right. They were right.
It's true. It's true. They did really like it. Except for the downer ending. And then Americans basically paid them to rewrite that and give it a bit of a happier one. But, you know, what can you do?
What was the downer ending? Did everybody die?
Jim dies.
Yeah, there was...
there's an alternate ending, isn't there? I think there is an alternate ending.
Yeah, there's a bit of it's quite revealing. So there's the one we get in this film. There's the original downer, which is basically Jim dies of his gunshot wound in the back while sort of dreaming of seeing his parents again. but sort of happy knowing that Selena and Hannah got out. And then the really terrible alternative, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, it was something like Frank is kept alive as a infected, and then Jim sacrifices himself by doing a complete blood transfusion with Frank, so that all Jim's healthy blood goes into Frank, and Frank is then not infected.
I didn't.
And they
know that one.
storyboarded it, but then luckily someone said that is too
Retarded.
stupid. Yeah.
You've crossed the line now.
Mm.
Listen, we can write 20 pages of utter retardation, but that is too far.
To be fair, it sounds like they modified that ending and applied it to Terminator Salvation. Look,
Oh god, it's
a
been a
total
long
blood
time. Man.
a total blood transfusion is a bit far fetched, but you know what? We'll do a heart transfusion. We'll do a heart transplant.
Oh, that'll work. That'll work.
In fact, they also did that on oh god, what was the film with Hayden Christensen in it? Awake. Yeah, they did the same thing. So yeah,
Hayden Christensen getting a lot of reference tonight.
I know.
He deserves it, damn it.
He's a total Chad, you know. He did his little thing and then became a farmer. You've absolutely got to love it.
Is he actually a farmer now?
He's a farmer.
Oh, good on him. He made the
Yeah.
money, so, you know, he doesn't need to work again.
No, exactly. Yeah, there's your Hayden Christensen fact. It's not all Melinda Messenger tonight. Bloody hell. Yeah. The Americans did pay for a slightly happier ending, which is fair enough.
And actually, that ending works better than the downer endings.
It makes a lot more sense, to be honest, with the way that the zombies are set up. They're not dead, and part of the whole point with the Major was that he was seeing how long it would take for them to starve. So, yeah, seeing them all starving at the side of the road, giving them opportunity to signal for help from the planes flying overhead actually makes a lot more sense and uses a lot more of the plot that had been set up before. Whereas if they just out of nowhere, here's blood transfusion now, I guess they know how to do that all of a sudden. Makes no sense.
Well, what I don't understand is why they did hello rather than help and waste so much cloth. That's just me. That's a nitpick.
Gosh darn it. That's a really good point, though.
Yeah, that's
they could have had it done so quick. So much quicker. Patrick Batman, thank you for sending in £5 saying, am I crazy, but do the infect only come out during the night and stick to the shadows, which is completely ignored in the sequel? Well, I haven't done my 28 weeks later rewatch yet, but they say that they basically do only come out at night, but if you give them reason to come after you, they will, I think is the idea. But then, you know, Celine says she doesn't travel at night whilst traveling at night. So the rules in this film are a little shaky, basically.
They also, lesson 1, don't travel alone unless you're forced to. Later on, Jim, I fancy a cheeseburger.
And she's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, what can I say? I guess we should have seen this film 28 drafts later. Huh?
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. We'll junk it. We're done. Thank you for £5. Very much appreciated. I mean, that is a plot covered. There is so much we can nitpick on this, but I think we've shown, like, this film, it's a fun time, but it is sloppy as heck. Gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. The aesthetics are on peak, but if you think about it for a few seconds, very little of this film holds together.
Yeah, I just want to, because we haven't touched upon it, but I think the film kind of retcons its own lore during the film as well. So, and what I mean by that is when Jim meets Mark and Selena for the first time and they talk about the outbreak, one of the things that they mention is that there were reports that that it had reached New York and Paris, I think they said. But then later on in the film, I can't remember the soldier's name, the one they go to take out to execute. But he's talking about you know, the Americans will be sitting at home. Like, he quotes a Simpsons joke, doesn't he? Or he mentions a Simpsons joke. And then he talks about how the Americans would be sitting at home, you know, acting like nothing's happened because everything's normal over there. It's all fine. In fact, the UK is being quarantined. How could the virus get? I mean, we know how it could because, you know, 2020 told us. But but yeah, like, so the film kind of retcons itself, and I can evidence that because of 28 weeks later and what happens in the sequel, because it doesn't look like, or it doesn't look like that they reference the outbreak happening in America, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
No,
there's
they don't,
something
as far as I
about
recall.
being on an aircraft for 6 or 7 hours and the rage virus kicks in and 20 seconds.
It wouldn't happen, would it? A plane would just crash, presumably.
I
Even
can imagine someone being
if
in
the
a car
pilots
and
locked
come up,
themselves in the cabin,
The
they'd
plane would
still
likely
have
get the plane would likely get
bedlam on
shot
the
down.
inside.
Yeah, you know, presumably the American, like the Air Force, would just like shoot it down. Presumably, if they could see
Shoot
what was
it
happening
down,
over
or
in
the
Britain.
pilots would realize, oh my God, we've brought some of them on here. How, with all the customs and that getting on the plane, how would they mistake somebody with the rage virus for all the time? They wouldn't even get off the freaking ground as long as the wait time's on the ground. Even with the pilots barricading themselves in, they would have crashed it themselves to prevent it from.
Wait, is this in the sequel? Because I've not watched the sequel.
No, I'm just
we're just talking about, like, because they talk about the outbreak, because when they're in that little news agents, and they made Mark mentions that there's that there's been reports in America and Paris, but then that's seemingly like retconned like later on in the film, where that military guy is talking about the Simpsons and how everything is just normal in America, and in fact everything's been quarantined. And it actually makes sense for the latter to be true, as Murgoot said, because of the time it takes for the virus to manifest. Like it's just
and again, this is empirically verifiable by the fact that if like the soldiers forgot to just every so often look up. Just look up or listen. Don't be deaf. Don't be deaf and look up, and you will hear and see planes flying overhead, checking out.
As much as they fire their weapons without ear protection and firing them as much as they do, they're probably deaf or have tinnitus from hell.
And they've got really stiff necks from all of the army training they do. Yeah. Listen, 28 days without women.
Folks, Patrick Batman brings up a really interesting question, and I think this moves us on to something that I think, so we don't go over long, we do need to talk about the black and white horses. Now, I suspect Patrick may be curious and referencing a popular theory that's going around. I'm sure we've seen it. Wyatt Stagg's video, 28 Days Later and White Rage. Now, I'm cautious to talk about this. I did say we should all have a little watch of it. I don't want to disparage the guy. I think he has a wonderful eye for detail.
I did not watch this in advance, by the way. And also, he follows me on Twitter. So I'm sure he's a nice guy. The only one of his videos that I have seen is his Breaking Bad one, and I did not agree with it. I felt like it was slightly cherry-picked and didn't really elaborate on the points that he was making very well. He just went, here is an observation that I've made, therefore the show is anti-white. And it felt like there was a lot of jumping to conclusions. That said, you are right. Some of the details he pointed out were correct. And watching this film again, I have not watched his video, but I could see a more substantial argument to be made in this film.
I would say, look, I mean, that the analysis you got from that one video was basically the one I got from this. If I could sort of analogy it a bit, it's like it's like the Wachowski sisters saying that the Matrix was a trans allegory 20 years after the fact. And it's like, okay, that might be true, but realistically, was that the intention going into the film? But you can make that argument, but does it hold true? And I don't think Wyatt Stagg's analysis of this film necessarily lines up, because like with the one that you mentioned, he refers to this film very much in a sort of like anti-white sort of narrative. And like you say, if you look at this film in a particular way, you could come to those conclusions.
With this film, I could believe it.
I don't know. I mean, again, this is 2000.
We've already pointed out that like Boyle seemed to be heavily stereotyping the English soldiers and making them stupid on purpose as a way to kind of smear them and make them look bad, and kind of make the whole idea of a ordered patriarchy out to be bad. Which in a post-apocalypse, I'm sorry, the men with guns are the ones who end up in charge, and they are the ones who reassert order. So I can honestly see it with this film, especially because apparently Danny Boyle in recent years has come out saying things like, "Oh, I couldn't make Slumdog Millionaire anymore because it's not my place to make that film because I've got white privilege," and things like that.
Yeah, but he's saying he might be saying that now, but was he saying that in 2002, 2001?
Well, that's fair, but also John Goras has said that Wyatt Stagg reminds him of a less histrionic Devin Stagg. And I would disagree with that personally, because I would say that Devin Stagg's videos on his original YouTube channel, Black Pill, are really well-argued analyses that really go into detail. And if you follow his analysis, a lot of these narratives have been going on since the 80s.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that just saying, oh, it was 2002 means that it's exempt from being an example of one of those kinds of narratives. I mean, this stuff starts somewhere. It just isn't as in your face in the older films.
Yeah,
I don't think this is anti-racial. I think it's anti-establishment.
That was the thing.
Crap.
That was the popular thing, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for my take, I would say I think TCG has given us a very good lens for describing it. It is like a retrospective reframing of things. Now, this is tricky because, yeah, it is a retcon. Like the Matrix, the reading of that is that people will pick out these little details. They oh my gosh, that's such a specific detail. My gosh, the trans reading must be right, but you ask a basic question like, hang on, if the Matrix is a analogy for transition, then why does Neo start in a place where people explicitly look exactly like they want to, and it's leaving the Matrix where they don't look like they want to, like they don't imagine this? That is a instant death blow to that argument. Like the details are there, but there is that. The actual structure does not support the argument in any way.
You mentioned, sorry, go on.
Danny Boyle, like also, yeah, of course, the narratives were around for a long, long time, but I think Danny Boyle was outside of the system. He's making this with a very small amount of English money. I would be much more suspicious if he were making it within an American studio, but he was cobbling this together. So I think the sort of.
And you've already mentioned he was getting lottery money, though.
Like
sponsorship from the English and the British lottery has never been known to sponsor anything subversive, has it?
All right, I will take that. I will take that point, but I think I see his motivation to be anti-establishment, anti-English, kind of edgy boy. But I found just like the review, and I'm afraid his Candyman video was like this for me too. Impressive on the details, but it did not cohere, and it had to leave out a lot of stuff to make that argument.
Yeah, I'm just going to give a couple because I was sort of reacting to the video as it was going. But it's this specific image actually that reminded me. Like he talks about. I'm heavily paraphrasing, so Wyatt, if you hear this, I know I'm not quoting you verbatim, but he does mention about the soldiers being white men wanting to do the old struggle snuggle with Selena, and that's somehow representing colonialism, completely negating the fact that Hannah's there as well.
Mm.
Also,
there's a
there
black soldier
are
and an Arab
there-
soldier.
there
exactly.
There
You know,
are
yeah,
two
you've got
non-white soldiers as well.
yeah. Oh, God, yeah, you got the Ali G enemy, Tarek from EastEnders.
Yeah, I don't want to do the guy down. I think he writes his videos well. He presents them.
Yeah, I
very
mean,
well.
he can make, yeah, he can
just-
do, yeah, obviously, yeah, make, you know, do, you know, you do you. I just didn't agree with it. I think if it was, the thing is, if it was an analysis of 28 years later, let's say, then you could argue that those points may be more salient, because if you look at it through the lens of the time period that you meant that you're talking about, then yeah, you could certainly make a stronger argument, because there's a lot of anti-white and all that stuff.
Little foreshadowing. I do have my own schizo theory in that regard for 28 years later, but I won't say any more.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, you're looking at a film made 23 years ago, where sort of the cultural atmosphere, it was different. It was a lot different. Like, sure, there might have been some early signs, and I'm not saying that there may not have been sort of like subliminal little hints there and here and there with this film or not, but it wasn't as in your face. It wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't as prominent as it is now. So it just didn't resonate with me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. Like, we don't want to do the guy down, but like, and yeah, none of us disputes that these messages are out there. We've talked about them extensively, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
That's what I'm saying.
If it was miss on this one,
yeah, if it was, if it was a review of the most current one, where you look at the sort of the time period that was made in, you look at sort of like what the political talking points were and what the messaging, you know, the popular messaging was or is at that time. Yeah, you could certainly make an argument for it, but I just don't think it's. I don't think that wasn't an intention of the filmmakers at that time. Yeah, sure, they might have some sort of anti-British sentiment. If you're an Irish director and you want to, you know, portray the British Army in some way to be the bad, incompetent guys, sure, yeah, fine, yeah, I can buy that. But to say it's explicitly anti-white, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't want to do the guy down.
I read that as potato woke.
Yeah. What I thought might be interesting is to show, well, an alternative theory as well as a sort of anti-English, especially anti-English army idea from an Irish director. I thought I'd offer something else that it actually might be talking about, something shown to us right at the very start.
Racism.
Well, I mean, is this not your Twitter experience right here? It just needs a few more e-whores. You know,
so
and Ian Miles Chung has got to be one on
Ian Miles Chung's the one
Ian
Miles Chung's the one hooked up to the machines. What are you talking about?
So what you're saying is Elon Musk watched this film and thought afterwards, I'm going to buy Twitter.
I think what's going on.
Dumps.
Oh dear. I mean, what I would put in here is maybe what he's trying to get in here. You know, the chimp, the proto-human, is watching all these horrible things happening on the news, getting a sense of rage and despair, and he's getting a little bit, I don't know, I think it's reflective of our experience watching the world collapse and reacting to it. And what I thought, it's not so much like a violence on TV will make you chimp out. I think it's more like this idea of it's a refutation of the end of history. Like, the end of history was pretty recent as an idea. That is, if people don't know, it's the Francis Fukuyama idea that basically liberal democracy is won out in the battle of ideas across the 20th century. And now, having decided that really there is no way except for liberal democracy, we will go on and to merely tinker the model until we have perfect peace and prosperity. We can civilize the world with this. But then you are just sitting here. You are not, the enlightened man. You are basically, the chimp. You are a creature of nature, and all you can see is the violence in nature erupting everywhere, very deliberately across the entire world. And this is this is just saying, no, we are not at the end of history. Liberal democracy has not won out, and liberal democracy is absolutely collapsing everywhere. And coincidentally, you couldn't get more of a direct refutation to we have reached the end times of peace. And the fact that literally they were filming this while September 11th happened. Weirdly enough, they were filming a scene where guys were celebrating. I think it was in the flat with Frank where they're toasting with the melon.
Were they dancing?
The dancers in New
unconfirmed
Jersey
rumors of
across.
dancing. I mean, they were up in a big tower. I don't know. Who could say? But not on the roof, so who knows?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Fez, how could you?
But to be fair, you mentioned Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
As well. But you didn't say that. That's classic. That's class.
Well done, Fez. Clockwork Orangutan, indeed. Well done. That's just my take on it. What do you guys think? End of history take? Schizo? Legit?
I think
All
there's
I
some
know
strength
is
to
I
it.
remember when End of History came out, I just took one look at it, took a look at Desert Shield and Desert Storm, went, "You're full of crap, go away." And this was 35 years ago, so sue me.
I'll take it as a win. How about yourself, Harry? You were coming in on that.
I think there's some legitimate strength to that idea.
Nice.
Can't really say much more on that. This film was one that kind of blindsided me upon rewatch with how dumb it was, more than it gave me opportunity to really sink into the themes and whatever it might have been trying to be saying about society. Because I don't think it really... Well, it knew what it wanted to be, really, which was cool running zombie film. And it was that. It was that, but it was really dumb.
Legit. I mean, fair enough. I mean, we've gone on for a fair while about it. I also was surprised about it because my memories of this were very fond. But it was just all I saw were people saying this is amazing, and it's just a shame that the sequel was so trash. But I don't have strong memories of the sequel. But my goodness, I enjoyed myself. But this was a very stupid movie. Oh dear. Well, tell you what, folks. We've covered quite a lot of this. We covered the White Stag thing. I think we're very polite about it. But shall we move into closing thoughts and scores? Because I feel like we're sort of in that territory.
Sure.
Yeah. TCG, would you like to lead us off in that?
Yeah, sure. 28 Days Later will always hold a special place in my horror heart as the few films that still can get an emotional sort of like emotional fear reaction out of me are zombie films. And when I'll never forget when I first watched this film and the concept of running zombies or whatever absolutely terrified me. Dawn of the Dead remake then did it later on, but that concept always freaked me out. Some of the cinematography is pretty cool. I did like quite a few times when they had these sort of like dual shots where there's one where Mark is sort of like faded and on the top left, and it's like looking over like the London skyline, and there's these really weird sort of unique camera angles I think really worked for the film. Obviously, you got Cillian Murphy, which I think was one of his first film roles, or certainly one of his early ones, who I thought Jim was I thought he portrayed Jim well, and I thought the casting was strong. Hannah wasn't that great, I'll be honest with you, from an acting perspective. But other than that, I thought the actors were well cast. And it regardless of how much we have slated it, it is a classic in my view, and so it will. There is a heavy bias in that regard in terms of my scoring. However, ultimately, Velocipasta has a more coherent storyline than this. Velocipasta, the characters make better decisions than some of the characters in this film. Velocipasta
That's the
have
bar, huh?
IQ, have characters with potentially higher IQs than characters in this movie. And as Daniel quite rightly mentioned, yes, it did kick off the zombie revival, and then Shaun of the Dead, obviously, which then really, I think, peaked it. Anyway, yeah. So overall, 8 out of 12 burgers. Lots of ketchup, which has been you've taken the ketchup bottle, you've opened it up, and you've just smashed it over the bottle over the burger, and it just looks just like someone has just thrown up tomato ketchup all over the burger, with one little drop on top of the pickle.
Just a little bit,
just enough
Yeah.
to make your stomach turn.
How about yourself, Murgoot? Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
Right. So
it's a beautifully shot, enjoyable film if you're just watching it as an action horror. But it has so many scenes that, I mean, the continuity's bad. Some of the details are bad. There's just so many idiot moments throughout the whole thing. I mean, the depiction of the military guys, they're just retarded. It's, in all the details, it's a London that is bare. Yes, it's beautiful, but 20 million people and the streets are deserted. There's a little bit of trash, but there's no cars. There's no flames. London isn't on fire. And just watching it this time around, taking a critical eye to it, I have to give it, it's an enjoyable watch, and it is iconic for the fast zombies and the imagery, but I have to give it 8 burgers, a lot of ketchup, a big pickle that runs around throughout the entire film, and a whole lot of unintentional cheese throughout the entire flick. I mean, just so yeah.
It's fair enough. How about yourself, Harry? What's that score?
For me, I don't know. It's a very dumb film. It's got some really cool moments, and it's got a nice pace to it. But frankly, overall, I don't know if I'm just maybe not a Danny Boyle guy, and I'm not huge into the films of his I've seen, except for when we get to it, 28 years later, ironically enough. So I don't know. It's cool. It's stupid, but beyond that, it doesn't really do much for me. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 12 with a lot of ketchup, but also a nice sprinkling of Valiant on top as well.
It'll help. It'll help. It's fair enough. A fair play. All right. Going quickly myself. Yep, you've all said it. I respect the budget work. It's great to see a British film perform. This made about 80 million on about 6 million budget, something like that. It's stylish. The music is absolutely amazing throughout. There are really great performances. You know, especially easy to forget. This is very early for Cillian Murphy. He was going to have just a very small part in the film, but then luckily they turned up the heat in the set. Am I right, guys? Hey.
Well, to be fair, if this was going to be my introductory scene in a film as well, I would also demand to be in more of it after this.
Yeah,
I got my Danny. I got my knob out for you. All right.
I couldn't resist a terrible. Anyway, never mind.
Danny, why did you turn the air conditioning on?
It's what can I say? It's good fun, but oh my goodness, the scores would rocket if it weren't so distractingly stupid. Because this is kind of all I saw this first time round was just like, that was stupid, that was stupid, that was stupid. Why are they doing that? Dear. So it detracts, and I can't put it under 6 because that is the do not recommend line, but it is stuck at 6 for me because the potential is so I've got to say a 6 because I was so distracted by how bad the choices were. Alas, and also I am kind of rigging it because I do want the contrarian take that 28 weeks later was better. So I'm just being transparent here. Also, the taking burgers off for the mistaken belief that Major West did anything wrong. No, his plan was solid. It wasn't meant to become an instant Diddy party, but he had the right idea, roughly. I'm sure he would have, described it in more, polite, genteel terms himself. He just got rushed.
I just want to clarify. I don't think that the idea of repopulation is a bad one by default. I think, it's what they say is like great plan, poor execution.
You can't scare the host.
Very
bad text.
Cooperation is key. Let's just say I'm not.
Teamwork makes
the
dream work.
Yes. And not everybody was willing to be a team player, and I can understand why. So on that front, Major West was majorly wrong.
So I'm stuck at a 6. Generous ketchup, the unexpected pickle, and unintended cheese. What can I say? But that's where we are. And next week we are, of course, covering 28 weeks later, and we'll see if it does a bit better. We have certainly a new director, and I wonder, do we have a new writer? I am not. We do have a new writer as well.
Yeah.
So let's see what they do with it. Maybe, controversially, might do a little better. Let's find out. We're lucky to have, as long as you remain available, Harry, we're lucky to have you for the whole arc for consistency.
Yes, and hopefully my microphone will be available next week as well.
Indeed.
I've got a spare one you can borrow if you...
Cheers, mate. Just post it to me.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll also post the Dawn of the Dead DVD as well, so you can have a look at that.
All right.
Give it a go. Give it a go.
I feel like you're going to hold that over my head now.
Hell yeah!
You'll enjoy it, man. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. Trust me.
Hey, am I wrong in preferring Zack Snyder's Watchmen to Alan Moore's Watchmen?
Ooh,
Well, I haven't seen Alan Moore's Watchmen.
I'm a big fan of
Alan Moore wrote the original comic.
Right.
And he's also an insane, fat, smelly communist.
Who believes he's a magician in
who
in a war with Grant Morrison.
Who wrote with his wife a comic book that reimagines old fairy tale stories and characters like Alice from Alice in Wonderland into lesbian sex adventurers. He's a very strange man. But his version's miserable. Zack Snyder's like, Rorschach is badass. Watch him murder people in slow motion.
Good times. Now, that gives Zack Snyder's Watchmen the edge, and I have seen that movie a huge number of times. It's a good time. So, no, that alone should propel you to give his remake of Dawn of the Dead a watch. And I think you'll like the soundtrack as well. This introduced many people to... Get down with the sickness. Anyway, keeping us on the right side of 2.5 hours. I will sign off now. You have your horror homework. We are going to be doing 28 weeks later. I would like to thank the panel. Thank you very much, guys. Very fun discussion this week. Cheers for not roasting me totally over the Major West comments.
You are very welcome.
I can kind of see what you're going for.
Just the timeline was off, you know. Timeline was off. You know. You got to like clean up a bit, light a candle. I'm not going to take this down. That's a very bad taste. But yes. Anyway, so thank you to the panel. Chat, thank you very much. Enjoy the comments. I hope you have enjoyed your rewatch. I hope you're going to be with us next week, freshly refreshed on 28 weeks later. And hope you got a lovely Friday ahead of you as well. Thank you all very much. I will see you next week. All the best. Cheers.
Go and watch my video.
Yes.
I'm also
Hashtag
Lotus
Shell
Eaters.
Gang.
I'm in this thing called Lotus Eaters. Do that.
Watch my video first, then go to Lotus Eaters.
Job done. Job done.